With the celebration of Bastille Day next week, we thought it would be very interesting to do the best of France, featuring some of the oldest and most famous French cheeses. Certainly the French lead the way in artisan-produced cheeses, as well as the rich heritage of some of these cheeses that date back some more than 1,000 years. So we chose 4 of our favorites, probably some that are very well known, but are also classics and worthy of the attention that they receive. The first one we chose was a Camembert, of course, very popular soft ripened cheese. This one comes from Isigny, a very reputable, great company who has led the way for hundreds of years in making wonderful Camemberts. Now, in the United States, they are all pasteurized. However, these cheeses only come in 8-ounce pieces. That is part of French law, that the Camemberts would be produced in the small wheel size and kept in wooden boxes. So they are only sold whole. And they have this wonderful mushroomy, meaty flavor, perhaps a little more strength than your usual triple creme brie or something like that. Very well known for just smelling up the fridge and yet a delicate flavor. One of France's most famous, probably most recognizable cheeses, and this brand is consistently excellent. You want to look when they're ripe, they're going to have a little bit of waves, so to speak, in the rind, and they're going to be semi-soft to the give, almost kind of like a waterbed, perhaps. Next, we chose a goat cheese because if there's another cheese that France is famous for, it's fresh goat cheeses. This is a traditional one called the Tradition du Berry. It is made by a very reputable company called Jacquin. This is a fresh goat, meaning that it is made, and traditionally in France you would consume it within the first couple of days. So it would be light and flaky, kind of creamy, a little bit tart, but nothing strong at all. It is a perfect cheese for summer. And you could take the leftovers and put it with fresh fruit or put it on a salad. Legend has it that this was actually shaped as a pyramid, and that Napoleon, after coming back from his conquest in Egypt, was so mad it was sitting on his table that he chopped the top off because it reminded him of his losses in Egypt. That is what legend says. But either way, it's a really fun story and a great shape. We also have it in ash. Traditionally, they were covered in ash to keep them from drying out, as well as to keep the bugs away. We also have that. It's an organic, flavorless ash, but it's a beautiful one as well. Next is Cantal, held as one of the oldest cheeses produced in France, made in the mountains. A firm, almost farmhouse cheddar-y, wrapped in cloth. We carry 2 of them. We carry the young and the aged. We've chosen to feature the aged right now because it has a little bit more sharpness, tartness, perhaps some earthiness imparted from the cloth. You'll see the rusticness of the rind, and the flavor profile is beautiful. These traditionally come in enormous 80 to 100 pound wheels. The aged come in a smaller 18-pound wheel so that they can age and really give you that drier, firmer texture. But try both. They're great as snacking, but they're also wonderful on a cheese plate because it pairs well with fresh fruits and perhaps dry, air-cured meats that you might be using this summer. The last one, and no French cheese plate would be complete without it, would be Roquefort. Absolutely wonderful, creamy sheep's milk, always raw milk. There are only a very, very small number of cheesemakers for this, all in the same small town in southern France, using the same methods from over 500, 600 years ago. The blue is still derived by aging rye bread, is consumed and dried out with mold, that is then ground up and then added to the cheese to impart this beautiful bluing that we see here. They're then put in these caves that are actually a geographical wonder. They've never been duplicated anywhere else, that have specific wind flows and humidity that allow for this cheese to age perfectly, to get creamy, not too strong, but just velvet-like texture and the nuttiness from the sheep's milk. Absolutely one of the best cheeses in the world, and certainly one that France is very proud. So with the 4 of these, you can celebrate Bastille Day or just enjoy some of the oldest recipes and tradition that France has worked very hard to preserve through AOC programs and others. They have really worked hard to maintain that what you're eating now was the same as perhaps Napoleon or the older cheesemakers of hundreds of years ago.